Sagittarius, the last season, looks back over all of the preceding 11 seasons and extracts what wisdom it could from it. The most important being Scorpio season. That's why Sagittarius comes after it. We confront the emotional intensity of our mortality, and then we have to find some way to turn that reality into a cosmology that can help keep us going. Because you know what's next? Capricorn and winter and the beginning of the whole next cycle. So here at the end of the cycle, here at the end of the year Sagittarius, it is our job to look back over these 11 preceding seasons and say, what have I learned? How can I take the good and the bad and the ugly and the beautiful and the pleasure and the pain and the loss and the gain and the fame and the shame? How can I take all of that and extract what wisdom I can from having had that experience? That's Sagittarius. So we want to do this right. We want to do this consciously. We want to plant corn at the right time. We want to harvest the corn when it's ripe, not before. There are parts of the cycle of the season of the year. There are certain signs or seasons in which to do things mo better and in which to wait until other seasons to do. To everything there is a season. And just so you know, there are 84. I had a friend, there's a cheat sheet actually I've got somewhere. 84 references in the Bible to astrology. 84. You know, to everything there is a season. Seasons are signs. To everything there's an astrological sign. It's written in the Bible. So, little side note aside, what the Bible or what any religious work or what, pick your new age philosopher, what anyone is doing is Sagittarius. What any Bible, what any divine holy book is Sagittarius. It is the synthesis of life experience into a wisdom, into a cosmology, or into a belief system on which to build our whole next year or season or growth cycle or life or choice. That's Sagittarius, and that's the season we're in now. So it is our duty, again, and this is why I spend so much time on Scorpio, because that's a gateway. You're not going to get through anything else. You're not going to be able, one is not going to be able to extract the wisdom of Leo season and pure joy if that pure joy of Leo season exists through the filter of Scorpio, going from Sag, reaching through the seasons back through time. If it has to reach through the muddy, gross muck of Scorpio, if we haven't cleared out that fear of our mortality, or at least come to terms with the fact that it exists, when we reach back into Leo season to get our joy, it's going to be covered in the mud and slush of the fear of our mortality. See how that works? And that's unconscious. That muck, that residual muck, as we reach for the joy and the play and the pleasure of Leo, we're not paying attention to the muck that is on. And so when we go and we try to do that play, sometimes that play and that joy and that freedom of Leo is we're actually trying to escape our fear of our mortality. And so we go to extremis to find pleasure or whatever. Or we ignore the truth in order to find the joy. Right? So the work of Sagittarius is actually 11 times greater than the work of any other sign. That's why Sagittarius usually says, forget it, I'm just going to go be carefree and irresponsible, giving Sagittarius the unfortunate shadow observation of being the irresponsible one of the zodiac. Why? Because it hasn't integrated its mortality and instead says, woo, just made it through death. Woohoo, I'm alive at least. I'm going to go party. Or as Sagittarian Jim Morrison said, I'm going to go get my kicks before the whole beep house goes up in flames. All right. Sagittarius. I did not fully integrate my fear of mortality into my being and therefore have a resistance, therefore have an unconscious fear of mortality. Therefore, now that I made it out into Sagittarius season and I'm free, woohoo, I'm going to go get my kicks before the whole beep house goes up in flames. So if any of you young aspiring astrologers are wondering where Sagittarius gets its carefree, happy-go-lucky side, it's because half of them have not fully integrated mortality, have not fully integrated Scorpio, and therefore have not fully integrated every other preceding season, but still feels it has license because it made it through death. Oh, hey, look, I made it through. Woohoo, screw the rest of you. Sagittarius in its shadow will say that. And that's where Sagittarius gets a bad rap. Now, here's why Sagittarius. Here's my encouragement for all of us, myself included, being a Sagittarian. That the healthiest, wisest place of Sagittarius starts out looking at Scorpio and saying, oh, wow, yeah, there's the deepest, hardest core truth on the planet. That the growth cycle of nature dictates an autumn leaf drop in order for Taurus to have fertility. And so, oh, wow, I've integrated that. Yeah, therefore, life is sacred. Boom. So Sagittarius in its first rule, its first cosmological rule, its first religious doctrine, its first immovable belief, really ought to be Scorpio. All life is sacred. Every moment is sacred. Every breath is sacred. And therefore, I'm going to live deeply and suck out all the marrow of life and learn what it has to teach so that not when I come to die, discover that I had not lived. That has got to be Sagittarius. That has got to be our step one. In moving forward, we have to move back and say, thank you, brush with mortality, or God damn you, brush with mortality. I exist, and therefore life is sacred.